Hi, welcome to Street Priest Ministries. I'm your host, Brother Jay, as we're taking the Gospels back to the streets. Today's drive-through message is the Book of Jasher, Moses series, Volume 7. These are the best of times. These are the worst of times. These are biblical times. And as the weeks roll along, these words, I say, become pregnant with more meaning. As you see calamities and disasters happen around the world, volcanoes popping off, earthquakes shaking the planet around the world in unusual places, strange signs and wonders in the skies, meteors, rocks dropping from the heavens, social upheavals, wars, pestilences, plagues, famines, biblical times. As God sets the stage for his end time works. And God always seems to operate during difficult times to show off his miracles anyways. You study the scripture, you find that out. And especially of deliverance for his people. Now, we've been speaking of famine, we just got through reading about a famine that God caused in Egypt to set up his man, Joseph, that was wrongfully imprisoned for accused of a sexual assault that he did not commit with his boss's wife, Potiphar. And, excuse me, I'm doing this on live. We got a little chilly in here, so I turned a little fan heater on. Anyway, Potiphar's wife was obsessed with him, wrongfully accused him of sexual assault, and thereby he wasted away in prison for 12 years for a crime he didn't commit. And he was shackled. The Bible says the fetters and the iron went into his soul. This spoiled brat dreamer with a coat of many colors became one tough cookie, able to rule a whole empire like Egypt and move people around like chess pieces to save them from the famine. In Psalms it said God sent a man to Egypt. It didn't say how. That was God's way. Like he sent a man to Nineveh via a whale to save that nation. God's ways we talking about. And his ways are not our ways. He said his heavens higher than the earth, so my ways higher than your ways, my thoughts are your thoughts. So this is God's way of saving the world at that time from famine, including his own people that was started there, the Hebrews. Now, we've been plowing through this Apocrypha, and I'm hoping you, if anything, understand God's ways, how God operates. God sees a bigger picture, than we do. And I hope you're starting to pick that up. Now, I had some good news. You know, Street Priest Ministry, we've been chug-a-lugging along for 6 or 7 years. And we're coming up on a milestone. 1,000 videos. It's roughly 3,000 hours of teaching, approximately. And I'm happy. It's been a long time plugging along. As we plow through the whole Bible, pretty much in its entirety, and we're mowing down some apocryphal books. Now, I haven't plugged it yet, but this is for the new people. This is what we're studying and reading from the original 1611 King James. And it had about approximately 19 of the apocryphal books that we're studying in it. One is the Book of Jasher, means the Book of the Straight that we're studying now. You really don't understand the Bible or will get a complete picture or a backdrop of the Bible unless you study the apocryphal scriptures that was originally in the Bible, in the original King James, the one I just showed you, 1611, for 200 years. Now, this nation has been around approximately 250 years. That's give or take. Those books were in the Bible for 200 years, almost the lifespan of this nation, before it was taken out. So it's very much scripture, for as I'm concerned. The Apocrypha just means hidden away. A lot of people confuse that with the apocalypse, which means the unveiling. To unveil, reveal. But Apocrypha means to hide away, and God hid them books away for our generation today, because they're all very important. Now I'm reading, this is the Book of Jasher. I'm cheating. I don't want to deal with that real small, fine print. So I'm reading this to cheat. It's got the big, large print. Now let's get started with Joseph. I don't know what you're going through, but I doubt most of you listening out there ain't going through what Joseph went through. I'm not even close. As a lad, he was ripped from his family, sold into slavery, 20 pieces of silver, brought to a strange land as a slave, put into a situation with a well-grown woman that was trying to have sex with him at 18 years old. See, I don't know what you're going through, but I seriously doubt if there's anything close to what Joseph went through. He was beat. He was, like I said, he was in feathers and chains. He was an archetype of Christ, a dreamer that had a lot of gifts, very good looking man. Women were struck in awe by his appearance. But all those gifts God gave him, and then some. He was the wisest man in the kingdom, the best good looking man, the most gifted man in intelligence and knowledge. We gotta utilize those gifts to place him as ruler of Egypt, second in the throne. Now, and he ruled for 80 years, which lets you know that little 12 years of prison time was greatly eclipsed by the 80 years of prosperity. And Joseph was very, 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 very rich. He was stashing loot all over the place because of the famine. The famine was bad, and a lot of Egyptians lost their material possessions, but Joseph took advantage of it and stocked up for his family, hidden treasures and riches all over Egypt. To show you God's latter rain that comes to those that trust Him. That's why we study this book, to build up faith in God and His Word. So no matter what your circumstance you're going through, God will see you through it. Hold on to your dreams that God gave you, like Joseph did. I'm sure it was hard. He even tried to bail himself out toward the end by using the cupbearer. And God had gave him an extra 2 years because of it. Because God wanted to give him miraculous deliverance and didn't want him to depend on him. So that's a lesson for us. Now let's pick up. See where are we? Well, we're gonna start it. I guess verse 29. Verse 29. Excuse me, chapter 29, verse 13. Chapter 29, verse 13. And Amalek said unto Isaac, Behold, earth. Oh, wait a minute. I know. We're much further on than that. My bad. We're with Joseph here. We're at the point where he's been ascended to the throne. And the king and the king greatly rejoiced on account of Joseph. And all the king's officers rejoiced greatly. And the king, when they heard all the words of Joseph, and the thing seemed good in the sight of the king and the officers, to appoint Joseph to be second to the king over the whole land of Egypt. And the king spoke to Joseph, saying, Now thou didst give me counsel to appoint a wise man over the land of Egypt, in order with his wisdom to save the land from the famine. And therefore, since God has made all this known to thee, and all the words which thou hast spoken, there is not throughout the land a discreet and wise man like unto thee. And thy name shall no more be called Joseph, but Zephaniah. This was Phina, Zephaniah, Phina, shall be thy name. Thou shalt be second to me, according to the word, shall all the affairs of my government. Or he's going to handle all the affairs of the government. He's a vice or a governor. But second, he's like the second pharaoh. What he says goes throughout the kingdom. It's a lot of power. Coming at you fresh out of prison. He's fresh out. Joseph was fresh out. And look how God rewarded you. Be like coming out of prison in America and becoming vice president right away. And I said I read his name. Excuse me. And from under thy hand shall my servants and officers receive their salary. So he's over the treasury. And Joseph is paying the government officials. It's like a type of bureaucrat here. And from under, read that again. And from under thy hand shall my servants and officers receive their salary, which is given to them monthly. So you get a monthly check. And to thee shall all the people of the land bow down. I remember what he told his brothers when he was a spoiled lad with a coat of many colors. He said, y'all gonna bow to me one day. God set the stage. You get that power, everybody has to bow to him. That includes strangers coming in from different countries. And from, let me see, and the king took off his ring, took off the ring from his hand, and put it up on the hand of Joseph. And the king dressed Joseph in a princely garment and put a golden crown up on his head. And he put a golden chain around his neck. So Joseph was bling bling with the jewels. And the king commanded his servants, and they made him ride in the second chariot belonging to the king. So now he's in a procession of power behind the kings, letting the whole nation know. You treat this man like you treat me. You bow to this man like you bow to me. And the king commanded his servants, and they made him ride in the second chariot belonging to the king that went opposite to the king, side neck and neck. And he caused him to ride upon a great and strong horse from the king's horses, and to be conducted through the streets of the land of Egypt. The king commanded all those that played upon the timbrels, tambourines, and harps, and other musical instruments should go forth with Joseph, 1,000 timbrels. And 100 mekala, and 1,000 mekala went after him. And 5,000 men with drawn swords glistening in their hand, they went marching in his reign before Joseph. And 20,000 of the great men of Egypt. 20,000. Picture this scene. All these people dancing and prancing around Joseph. Excuse me. And they went marching and playing before Joseph. And 20,000 of the great men of the so-called king, girded with golden girdles of skin. That's a lot of fanfare. of Joseph. And the damsels went up on the roofs or stood in the streets, playing and rejoicing at Joseph, and gazed at the appearance of Joseph and at his beauty. Them women, Joseph was like a rock star back in his day. He was good looking, dressed sharp, and women loved him. And the king's people went before him and behind him, performing the robe with their too. The robe they laced with they laid frankincense, and with occasion, and with scents, with myrrh. Wow. Now he had a Senate party. And Luce claimed the words throughout the end. Throughout the country, they partied and celebrated and ascended to the throne. Do you see the man whom the king has chosen to be his second? All the affairs of government shall be regresses his orders, or that does not bow down before. And when the heralds had ceased proclaiming, all the people of Egypt bowed down to the ground on Joseph, before Joseph, and therefore said, may the king before Joseph, and said, may the king live. Also may the second live, that's Joseph. And all inhabitants of Egypt bowed down along the road. And when the heralds approached them, they bowed down and they rejoiced with all sorts of timbrels, Necho and Nebo before Joseph. And Joseph upon his horse lifted up his eyes to heaven and called out and said, He raised the poor man from the dust. He lifted up Nelly from the dunghill. O Lord of hosts, happy is the man who trusted in it. That's true. Joseph never gave up trust, never gave up faith. And Joseph passed throughout the land of Egypt, and Pharaoh's servants and officers, and they showed him the whole land of Egypt, and all the king's reason. Okay. And Joseph returned and came on that day before Pharaoh. And the king gave unto Joseph a possession. The possession is a key to the land or something like that. possession to the land of Egypt, and a possession of fields and vineyards. And the king gave unto Joseph 3,000. What is this word? Read that again. And Joseph returned and came on that day before Pharaoh. And the king gave unto Joseph a possession in the land of Egypt, a possession of fields and vineyards. On the next day, the king commanded all his people to Egypt to bring unto Joseph offerings and gifts, and that he that violated the command of the king should die. They didn't play in that day. King said something, you didn't do it, you were dead. When no such thing as politically correct or wokeism and all that. No entitlement with these kings. You do what you're told. That was male and female. All right. And all the people of Egypt, all right, they enriched Joseph. And Joseph took all these things and placed them in his treasuries. And all the officers and nobles belonging to the king exalted Joseph. And they gave him many gifts among that which the king had chosen. Him to be this word. Oh, for him to be second in the key as the king went to what is this? Potiphar. Okay. The son of Abram, priest of On. And he took the young daughter of Osna and gave her unto Joseph for a wife. And the damsel was very common, a virgin, one whom a man had not known. And Joseph took her for a wife. Took her for a wife. And the damsel was very comely and a virgin, one whom man had not known. And Joseph took her for a wife. And the king said unto Joseph, I am Pharaoh, and beside thee none shall dare to lift up his hand or his foot to regulate my people throughout the land of Egypt. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. So remember, 12 years he was pining away in that prison, that dungeon. Look at it, hopeless. And now, at 30, he's second in command to the most powerful nation on earth of this day, Egypt. Just tell me God ain't good. Even Joseph himself thanked God because he knew it was God. And that was the miracle. Joseph get no credit for it whatsoever. and no other man. God opened that door, because only God could. Ascended the family. And the king gave Joseph 100 servants to attend him. And Joseph also sent and purchased many servants. And they colored them. All right. Joseph then built himself a very magnificent house, like unto the houses of kings. He was a king. He's the second king, before the court of the king's palace. He made in the house a large temple, very elegant in appearance and convenient for his residence. 3 years. And Joseph made unto himself a very elegant throne of abundance of gold and silver, and he covered it with onyx stones and beryl, and he made it in the likeness of the whole land of Egypt, in the likeness of the river of Egypt that watered the whole land of Egypt. And Joseph sat securely upon his throne in his house, and the Lord increased Joseph's wisdom. Joseph got a sharp throne, and the likeness of the river Egypt and the waters, the whole land of Egypt. And Joseph sat securely upon his throne in his house, and the Lord increased Joseph's wisdom. And all the inhabitants of Egypt, and Pharaoh's servant and his princes, loved Joseph exceedingly. For this thing was from the Lord to Joseph. And Joseph had an army